Good afternoon, folks. How are we doing? I hope we're well. I hope we're well. Uh, it's been a while. It's been a while. We'll get into why it's been a while in just a second. But no, yeah, hands up. Yeah, it's been a while since we've done one of these. Hopefully the volume of the music is all right. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Still tinkering with it. I was about to go live. I had about like 19 seconds left or something like that. I thought, what have I missed? I've got everything open. I've got Stream Deck ready to go. Music's going. That's good. And then I realized, oh wait, I've forgotten this. I forgot to actually have my microphone anywhere near me. That would have been bad. That would have been bad. Oh dearie me. All right. Okay. Let's jump into this. So, for those who have not seen one of these before or have forgotten how it works, because it has been so long. It's been like 2 months or something like that. It has it been even that long? It may well have been. It may well have been about 2 months or going on that certainly. So my general stream schedule, if there is such a thing, is that we do geeky lunch chats on a Monday, and then ideally on a Wednesday we do geeky lunch chats with games. Geeky lunch chat is just generally life updates, whatever's been kind of tickling my fancy, what I've been playing, what I've been watching, etc., etc. Anything that's kind of in the geeky sort of sphere right now. And then geeky lunch chat with games. I tend to play either a app version of a board game or some sort of nice casual game while chatting to you wonderful folks out there. So let's start with the life update stuff. Now I'm going to chuck a huge content warning at the start of this one. If you are watching this live, I'm going to do the content warning. And then I will. Right. Content warning. First of all, I'm going to be talking a little bit about bereavement, because that's the reason why I've not been here for a little while. So, if you don't want to hear this bit and you're watching this live, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about this for the first little section, and then when I'm done, I'm going to give you a hand signal and see if my Mac does it. Is this one going to work? Or I'm going to have to use something else? Is it not going to do it? Has it stopped doing hand signals? Does my Mac just hate me today? It is. I'm just going to have to, I'm just going to wave my arms around because my Mac gestures have decided they just don't want to work today. That's weird. Normally, it works fine. It just hates me today. Right, I'm going to wave my arms around when we're finished talking about this stuff. If you're watching this on a VOD, I will set the chapters up so you can just skip to the next chapter. Let's do that. Okie doke. So so I've talked about this a little bit on stream before. I've tried not to go too much into the gory details, and I won't go. Well, I'm not going to go into gory details as such, but kind of cards on this table. This one. So the reason I've not been here is my father-in-law passed away. We knew it was coming. He'd had lung cancer for grief. It's probably about 3 years or something like that. It's been a while. We've known it was coming. He'd been through a few treatments, and then as we were getting towards the end of 2025, they stopped treatments, and we kind of knew, it was going to be a finite amount of time from there. But he didn't want to know how much, and it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot for a number of reasons. It was. Obviously, very tough for my wife. It's really, really hard. From an emotional support perspective, very challenging. We were going around there every single day. And I'm glad we did. I'm really glad we did. But it was tough. There's no getting around it. As he became less and less able to do things, it was a lot. There's no getting around it. And I'm sorry, I'm struggling to find words here, which is unusual for me. But I think one of the things that was really weird about those last few months was kind of seeing all of this through my daughter's eyes. So our daughter is 6, and she's had an unusual experience. Is it unusual? I mean, she's had an experience with death. So when she was about 3, now we had 3 cats at the time, and we lost 2 of them in quite quick succession, which was really, really tough for all of us. And we explained at the time to her, we kind of went for the "they've gone to the farm" sort of answer, which seemed to satisfy her for the most part. But yeah, I mean, she asked questions about could we go and visit the farm and stuff like that. And then the following year, we lost the 3rd of our cats we had at the time. And she was a little bit older, and the farm answer didn't satisfy her, and we had to kind of explain a bit more about what death was and all of that. And that hit her really, really hard, because it wasn't that long after we'd moved house. There'd been so much change in her life that really hit her like a ton of bricks. There was no getting around that one. And then we'd really struggled with how to explain what was happening to her granddad. We kind of said that, he's very ill, and, we didn't quite say he's not going to get better, but, that he was very, very ill. And once we got close to the end, we did explain to her that, what was going to be happening, and there was support through her school and stuff like that, which was really, really good. But it was odd. Her initial reaction when we said that that Granddad was dying, and that he was going to be going to heaven, but don't worry, because Marmaduke, the cat, is already there, so he'll look after him. Her immediate response was, "I miss Marmaduke," which was lovely, but she's kind of dealing with it in a sort of piecemeal kind of way, I think, where it's just a lot. It's an awful lot. It's a lot for anyone, but it's an awful lot for a small person who is still trying to make sense of the world. And she is very, very bright, so she's clearly been doing an awful lot of worrying, an awful lot of thinking, and it's made her, I think, reconsider what being sick is. We've had to, anytime we've been under the weather since, we've had to reassure her that it's not that sort of sick. But it's been a lot. So we had all of that, and he passed the 2nd of January. He made it through Christmas, which was really, really good. And then we went through all the kind of organising the funeral, which is the first time I've ever had to do that. It's one of those, like, it was one of those things where, you never feel you're quite adult enough. Even, I'm 40. And yet still didn't feel like an adult having to arrange all that kind of stuff. So that was really, really tough. And now the funeral's gone. The funeral went really well. It was really lovely, and I think everyone agreed that it was it's what he would have wanted, and he would have liked it, which I think that's the highest kind of praise, that we got this right, to be honest. But yeah, it was a lot, and now we're into, I'm a co-executor, so I've got a lot of admin stuff to do, more adulting to do, but it's the sort of stuff that I'm good at. So we'll see. Yeah, but it's been tough. It's been really tough these last few months. I've been absolutely exhausted. My wife's been exhausted. Lots of late nights, and I've just had nothing in the tank for doing streams. And honestly, especially these sorts of streams, if I'm playing a game, it's easy to be distracted by the game. But these sorts of streams where I'm just talking directly to you about the life universe and everything, I didn't feel up to it. So thank you so much for your patience on that one. But life moves on, and I'm trying to get back into doing these. But I just wanted to kind of, cards on the table, say why there's been such a big break between streams. And even before I stopped streaming, though, I was erratic in terms of when I was doing stuff. I am alive. Yeah, we've just... thank you, Absent. I've just been talking a little bit about why I've been off so long. We'll get to the end of the content warning in a second, but essentially we had a family bereavement, and it's been a lot. Emotionally, it's been a lot. Organisationally, it's been a lot. Lack of sleep There's been a lot. But it's a new year. You know, there's still stuff to be done, but we move forward. So yeah, let's move on for that. So for anyone who muted at the content warning, waving hands, that bit is done. Let's not go back to that. Cool. Right, I'm going to take a swig of my drink, and then let's talk about more cheery stuff. All right? So. Right. Let's talk about the really exciting thing, which timing of this has been terrible. Really exciting thing. So if you have been in any of my streams for the past however long, you'll know I talk an awful lot about Little But Fierce. And I'm going to talk about Little But Fierce again. And I'm going to talk about it for a very, very, very specific reason, which is the fact we have a launch date. So I'm going to share my screen here. So we have a launch date. So Little But Fierce, my kid-friendly reimagining adaptation of 5th edition, has a launch date for the Kickstarter. We are launching on the 3rd of March at 5 p.m. GMT. So that's less than a month away. I am very excited. I am also kind of scared because it's all becoming very, very real. But yeah, so exciting stuff. Let's chuck the link into the chat for those people who may not know about this. And we'll just do a little view of the pre-launch page. So we're up to 237 pre-launch followers, which is really good. We're off to a really strong place there. I would love to get us up to 300. If we could get to 300 before we launch, that would be amazing. So I implore you, please share, tag, do whatever you can. You know, algorithms are tough, and honestly, because I'm not on Twitter anymore, you know, I left that a long time ago. It is really tough to get momentum on stuff. So anything you can do to support, very much appreciated. But let's have a little peruse. So first of all, let's look at the absolutely gorgeous artwork we have here by Katarina, who is lurking in the chat. I know she's there. I love this so very much. And I still just stare at it from time to time. We've got reimagined hero sheets, everything's streamlined, everything's simplified to make it really easy for kids and frankly anyone who finds TTRPGs just a little bit kind of clunky and chunky from time to time, to make it easier to just kind of get up and go with it. And we've got some lovely little renders here. I say renders, they're not, of some of the preview pages here. That was a bit of feedback I had from Rich at Hatchlings Games, who's been an amazing support through all of this in terms of crowdfunding consultancy, because he's been around the houses on this a few times. You know, but prior to like last week, I just had the screenshots of these pages that already had artwork, and he said they're good, but it looks a bit flat. You know, just try, you know, get it kind of, you know, rendered so it looks like a book or something like that. Which, do I have the piece of art? I don't actually have this on the homepage, but it's easy enough to get things that do that. But some things are expensive, some things are AI tools, which is a whole thing. And there is no AI anywhere near this book. So I thought, what's the easiest way to do this? And actually, I found a Creative Commons image of a book open on a page. And I realized that I could just turn this image grayscale and then use it as a kind of like as a multiply on top of the artwork. And it makes it look like it's all good. It makes it look like the pages are actually real. So sorry, I'm squeeing a little bit about it. You know, I'm a creative person. I know how this stuff works, and yet it tricks my eye into thinking that it's actually a real page with a kind of a fold down the middle. Clever stuff. But no, I love the artwork. I love how this is all looking, and I'm really, really excited for launching. But I am nervous as all hell because Kickstarters, you got to get the first 48 hours right. If you don't get the first 48 hours right, you're not going to fund, which scares the bejesus out of me. But you know, I'm confident. I'm confident we can do this. I want to talk a little bit about the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful team of people here, and actually since we've had our gap in streaming, we've got an addition to this who I've been looking forward to announce for a very, very long time. We've got myself and Katerina working on this. Couldn't be more excited to be working with Katerina on this project because she's just freaking awesome. And her artwork is absolutely adorable. We've got Sebastian, who I am so pleased to be working with on this. Sebastian, they are an absolutely world-class editor. Their previous product before this, or lots of things, but the big one of last year, Daggerheart. Daggerheart's, yeah, Critical Role's RPG. Sebastian was the editor for it, and they've agreed to work on my project. That, that's not intimidating at all, but absolutely, I love my conversations with Sebastian thus far, and I'm really excited to have them on board. Next one here, this is the announcement one on this one, if you haven't seen it already. Jen Kretschmer has come on board as disability consultant. I decided a long time ago I wanted to have a professional disability consultant on this project because it's so easy to do these things wrong, frankly. When I first started talking to Katerina about I want to have a character who's in a wheelchair on the cover, we want to do this right in terms of, well, what's this wheelchair going to look like? There is a, if you're not aware of the work of Mark Thompson, Mustang's Art, who produced the combat wheelchair for 5th edition, one of the many things they've shared about this is that a lot of people, when they draw fantasy wheelchairs, they look like hospital wheelchairs, which aren't the sort of wheelchairs that any wheelchair user would actually want to use. So we base this a lot more on kind of like a sports wheelchair, the sorts of things that basketball players would use, and then we kind of added the armoured front. I say we. I didn't do any of this. Katerina did the amazing artwork on this, but it was my suggestion. Let's add some sort of almost like a cow catcher to the front that's like a bit of armor and makes it a little bit more practical from an adventuring standpoint. But yeah, ever since I decided I wanted to honestly, ever since I decided I wanted to do this project, I decided I wanted to handle disability correctly, and the first name on my list of someone to reach out to was Jen, who, one of these people who we followed each other for a while but never had actually had a proper conversation. And I thought, well, I'll ask. There is no harm in asking. The worst thing she says is she's busy, or that she's not interested in the project, or, whatever. But within the first few minutes of a conversation with Jen, she was on board, which is so exciting. Her work is absolutely amazing in terms of disability consultancy, in terms of... she produced an article, which I'm going to link to here, which is the Accessibility in Tabletop Gaming Resource Document. She's an amazing producer, actor. She did a production of Hamlet streamed on YouTube a little while ago, which is absolutely amazing. So yeah, check out her work. She's awesome. And we've got Rich as well, like I said, who has been an absolute godsend throughout all of this in terms of the support has been providing related to Kickstarting. It is a dark art, all of this. It really, really is. And he's been absolutely amazing in his support and advice of things to tweak in order to try and give us the best possible shot at this going well. So we'll see how we get on. But yes, 3rd of March, 5 p.m. Anything you can do to help support, to build up hype would be useful. And a request I'm going to ask to everyone out there who is a fan of my work. On launch day, if you have any form of social media presence, you don't have to be a YouTuber, you don't have to be a Twitch streamer, but if you've got any form of social media presence, even if it's just like a Blue Sky account or something like that, what I'm asking people to do is to record a quick video of themselves saying, hi, I'm Name, and I'm little but fierce. So in my case, it'd be, hi, I'm DC Bradshaw, and I'm little but fierce. And post that, and link to the project. I said 3rd of March, 5 p.m. GMT. I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited. I hope it goes well. I've been doing so much work over the last couple of weeks. I've been doing so much work for the last few years on this, but the last couple of weeks, has really been intense in terms of prepping the Kickstarter page, in terms of ironing out the stretch goals, and good grief, I'm excited about the stretch goals. So There's always a risk with Kickstarters that people go bananas with stretch goals, especially with physical stuff that's going to increase the production time, that's going to increase the shipping and all that kind of stuff. And I really wanted to avoid that. I wanted to make this as low risk as possible. So for my stretch goals, they basically fall into two categories here. We've got more art, as in the further we get past our goal, assuming, touch wood, that we do actually fund, will just mean more pages get beautiful illustration, whether it's full character pieces or little pieces of kind of almost accent art on there, just to add more flavor and color and depth to it. Yeah, we're gonna get more and more art on there as stretch goals. But the other thing we got on there is I've got 4 actual plays lined up. I'm not going to announce what they are right now. That's going to come very, very soon. But I've got 4 actual plays that will be commissioned on the back of stretch goals if we get there. A variety of different groups on this one. Some less well known. Some, well, there's one on there that is incredibly, incredibly well known. I'm very excited about this. So if we get to those stretch goals, they'll record a one-shot actual play of Little But Fierce that will come out sometime between the end of the campaign and when you actually get the book in your hands in December. But yeah, I'm really, really excited about them. Yeah, it's going to be really cool. I'm just nervous as all hell, essentially. But it's going to be good. It's going to be good. But yes, 3rd of March. I'll chuck the link in the chat again. So if you are able to share it with people, that would be very, very much appreciated. Thank you. Hello, my sneaky hiding artist. Same for nervous, but also it'll be great. That's how I'm feeling. The biggest thing that's scary about this for me is the initial funding cost. Because there's no getting around it. I made a decision that when I was going to produce a physical edition of this, I wanted to do it right. And that meant, firstly, I wanted it fully illustrated, which is why you're here. And secondly, I wanted to use professional consultancy and professional editing on this one. Because if when I did the digital edition of Little But Fierce, the starter edition, I proofed and edited that myself. And every time I spotted something later on that was maybe wrong or I wanted to tweak, I could just tweak that and produce an updated version. And because it was through DriveThruRPG and itch.io, people could download the updated copy with no issue. This is a printed edition. And the last thing I want is that people get a hold of a printed edition and they find a typo, or I find a little rule that doesn't quite work, or something like that needs a little bit of tweaking, or whatever it might be. So I need to do this properly. And that means, sadly, that there's a funding goal which is higher than I would like, but not as bad as it could be. Like I said, my work with Rich over the last week has been like, right, can we shave a little bit off of that? Can we change that a little bit? What if we do something different here? So we can get it to be more manageable. But if we hit the funding goal, the initial funding goal, I think we'll do quite well on the stretch goals, because then we'll get that organic growth. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Right. Yeah, so that's that Little But Fierce. I am bloody excited. Right. Now this will get a drink. So, one of the other things I wanted to talk about today is it's a very whimsical thing. But I wanted to talk about Gladiators. Okay? Now, if somehow you don't know about Gladiators, Gladiators is a show that's been around in a number of guises for a while. It came out at first in the 90s. There was an American version of it. There was the UK version of it. It came out, I think, in 1992 in the UK. And it's a cheesy, wonderful show. It really, really is. And I absolutely loved it as a kid. Absolutely. They did a revival of it in 2008 on Sky One, but honestly, I think the tone was wrong with that reboot. It was still fun, but it tried to take itself a little bit too seriously, alas, and a lot of the fun of original Gladiators was kind of some of the camp of it, to be honest. They had bright pink and bright blue costumes, and in the reboot in 2008, everyone was in kind of black and white, and it just didn't quite land properly. I mean, it was still fun, but it wasn't quite as good as the original. And then a couple of years ago, they brought it back, and somehow I hadn't watched it. I don't know how or why, but I just hadn't had the time to watch it. And then over Christmas, my daughter has become a little bit obsessed with watching like gymnastics videos on YouTube and stuff like that, which are fine to a point, but they get, from my point of view, a little bit annoying after a while. And I suggested, do you fancy watching Gladiators? Because I thought she might find it a bit of fun. It might scratch that itch. And also I quite fancied watching it. And she has become absolutely obsessed with it. She absolutely loves it. We binged the first 2 series, and now we're at the time where the 3rd season has just started, so we are watching it week on week. I had to explain the concept of live TV to her. She has been spoilt by YouTube and Netflix and Disney Plus. The notion that we would only get 1 episode a week, and it's on at a specific time. Now, clearly we have iPlayer, so we can, catch it up afterwards. But the fact that it would actually be on at a particular time, oh, good grief, this generation. They don't know what it was like. They don't know what it was like. But we're absolutely loving it. She is obsessed with the gladiators themselves, particularly the female gladiators. Her favourite is Comet. Not my favourite, but she's pretty awesome. Not going to lie. My favourite is Fury. Fury is an ex-rugby player, and she's deaf as well, so she's an absolutely amazing role model. She's recently been announced to have a role in Peppa Pig because George Pig is partially deaf. Really lovely awareness campaign going on there. But no, we're loving Gladiators. But what I will say, because my daughter is obsessed with Gladiators and she wants to know like facts about them, she wants to know like what their real names are and how tall they are and all this kind of stuff. So I've had to Google the Gladiators an awful lot on my phone, which means that my algorithm thinks I'm a muscle mummy obsessed lesbian. It just does. I don't know what things have aligned, but it thinks the number of times I've Googled specifically the female gladiators means it thinks I'm a lesbian. I have shared this with some of my friends, especially those in the LGBT community who seem to find this absolutely hysterical. But no, we're really, really enjoying watching it. It's a lovely kind of bonding thing. And I think in terms of like almost a little bit of a fitness goal, it's quite nice to give her a sort of thing that she could, I'm not saying she's going to be a gladiator or a contestant on Gladiators, but it's nice to have like those kind of role model type stuff. Now, on that note, we went climbing at the weekend. She wanted to kind of climb around the room on Saturday, and I know at Lakeside, which is a big shopping centre, which is not too far from here, there is a kids climbing place, which I'd not been to before, but we agreed to do it on Sunday. She gave it a good go. She did do one of the walls all the way to the top, which was very, very cool. She was a little bit nervous, but I think it's something I'd like to do again. I didn't actually do any climbing yesterday because basically I wanted to be absolutely by her side the whole time, to make sure that she was, you can't mess it up. Literally, they've got so many health and safety things. You can't, accidentally climb something without a harness on and stuff like that. But I just want to be by her side the whole time. But I really would like to do it again and actually me do it myself. And I think actually me doing it as well along with her, I think she'll getting the competitive streak will come out, and when it'll override her nerves a little bit, and she'll just want to just try and beat daddy to the top of the wall. But that's been really, really fun. What I did see, and we'll see. They have announced, because this is the world we live in right now, they're doing a Gladiators experience over the summer, which is very cool. I'm really glad we're starting to see this more and more, like they made the Crystal Maze that you can actually go to. There's like the Cube and stuff like that you can actually go to. The fact they've gone, right, we're going to do a Gladiators experience where members of the public can come and do certain events and compete against each other, which is very, very cool. It's quite pricey. I'm tempted to say we should do it. But it's looking at the list of events. The list of events is a challenge on this one. So, for those who know Gladiators, even if you've not seen it, you're probably aware of some of these events, especially because some of them are the absolute classics. There are ones on there where I think, yeah, absolutely could give that a shot. And there are ones where I go, ooh, I may have, lost quite a bit of weight over the last year and generally taking a bit more care of myself, but I don't think my upper body strength can handle some of these. So the events you can do at this Gladiators experience, there is Duel. Now, I think everyone knows what Duel is. You're on top of two kind of podium things. You've got the pugil sticks that look like giant cotton buds, and you've got to kind of leather the ever-living heck out of each other. I think I can do that. That would be fine, and I think that would be an awful lot of fun doing something like that. But this is where it gets a little bit harder. All right, there is... which one should we go for next? There's Unleash. Unleash is a new event that they introduced last year, but it was a new one for this version of Gladiators. Unleash is basically a challenge where you've got to run and you're chased by someone, which is obviously incredibly hard on the show because the Gladiators are, all professional athletes, some of which are like ex-Olympic sprinters. So you've got to run, chase, you've got to go through some obstacles, including like through a foam wall. And then the bit at the end, you've got to run up some steps and jump and grab a flag. Now, I don't know how much of this they'll actually do for the Gladiators experience thing. I could have a shot at it. I'm not sure I could jump the thing and grab the flag, but we'll see. I would be willing to give it a go. The ones where I think my body may fail me, catastrophically / hilariously, are the Wall and Hang Tough. Now, the Wall, I think, is achievable. The Wall is literally, it's like a climbing wall and you're pursued by someone. And I think in the case of this experience thing, you're basically racing against the other members of your group rather than being pursued by someone. So, we did climbing the weekend. Well, little one did climbing. I'm hoping to do some climbing soon. I think could prepare for that. If we did want to do the Gladiators experience, I could prepare for that. But it might be tough. The other one is Hang Tough. If you've not seen what Hang Tough is almost like monkey bars type things, but essentially you've got to swing on hoops hanging from chains, swing from one to the other, and get across an area. Now, in the show, you're going against a gladiator who's trying to prevent you. But I think generally, in terms of upper body strength, I think that is where I would absolutely fail. Monkey bars are one of these things that kids just find so much easier. I think it's a mass to muscle type thing. If you see kids at a playground, they'll climb anything and they can swing on stuff. It's not a problem. You get an adult to try and do it, their body gives up immediately. But it just is on, for now at least, over this summer. So I'm kind of tempted that we should do it. So maybe that's my goal over the next couple of months when I'm not frantically doing stuff about the Kickstarter, is, start working on the upper body strength so that if we decide that we want to do this ridiculous Gladiators experience, that it's not a complete waste of money where Daddy goes up there and then just immediately fails at everything. I mean, I'm sure my little one would find that hysterical. But if I'm going to spend the money, I would like to at least have a reasonable shot at it, especially because, and I think anyone in my generation feels this way. You've been thinking about going on Gladiators since you were a kid. It came out in 1992. I think I started watching it in like 93, 94. Now, I was born in 85, so I was 7, 8, 9-ish around that time. So I, for a very, very long time, thought about what it would be like to be on Gladiators. So the actual notion of doing it, I think, would be quite fun. And that's as far as I could ever possibly get, because if you've seen the new series of Gladiators, the game has been stepped up because everyone can train for stuff now. We are in a world of CrossFit and high rocks and personal gym equipment to the degree that you can absolutely train for this stuff. So that whereas back in the 90s, the Gladiators were professional athletes and the contenders were maybe, they were in good shape, and they maybe went to the gym and, they played a bit of football and stuff like that. But nowadays, it's people who are just like absolutely shredded people, and quick as well. The people doing the Eliminator, I didn't even talk about the Eliminator, which would be terrifying. They are in such good health that actually the Gladiators had to be even better. Hence the fact when you look at the credits of the Gladiators, it's like, Olympic this, black belt that, Team GB for this. They are absolutely the top of their game because they have to be, because not the average member of the public, but a member of the public who wanted to go on a show like Gladiator has the ability to get into incredible shape and train incredibly well for this sort of stuff. The level of fitness that is accessible to the public nowadays is so much more than it was in the 90s. But yeah, there we go. So I'm never going to be a contestant on Gladiators. I'm 40 and not in great shape. But I could maybe do the Gladiators experience, and it might be fun to do as a family. We shall see. Watch this space. Might be very entertaining. We'll see. Oh, dearie me. But yeah, I think it would be fun. I mean, what else? What else? Well, I've got 10 minutes, so I think we'll do a brief touch on one other subject. The other one is my wife and I have been rewatching The West Wing. And I've spoken about The West Wing before. The West Wing is an interesting one. We did not watch it at the time. We only watched it for the first time a few years ago. We watched it all the way through and then literally started again. We enjoyed it so much that we finished it and then started it again. And I think this is about our fourth rewatch, maybe, going through it. And it is a great show. It's an absolutely fantastic show. I know it does, in today's political climate, I know there are some people who get very frustrated with The West Wing in that it is a almost naively optimistic view of politics, where even, and I'm not going to get too deep into this one, even the Republican people, the Democratic protagonists are going up against in the elections, you can see where they're coming from. They've got a different point of view and they've got a different way of doing things, but especially, slight spoilers for the end of The West Wing, in the final season where you've got Santos versus Vinnick, Vinnick being the Republican candidate is still, it's still someone I would probably vote for, given the choice if they were there and there wasn't, a Matthew Santos to go up against, Vinnick, as a Republican candidate there. And I'm left-wing leaning in my politics. He made sense, and was grounded on principle and stuff like that. Whereas in today's world, good grief, and I'm not going to go deep into this one, there is no common sense in a lot of stuff that's going on right now. It's just cult-like behavior. It's stuff built on lies. It is blatant lying from politicians. Not just spin, but blatant lying, So in a sense, watching The West Wing again, it's a comfort thing because it is a wonderful show and it's so well written and it's so well acted. It is really nice to watch it. But also there is something unpleasant about watching it in these days, in that it is so far removed from the world we're in, the political world we're in right now. It's kind of the Star Trek of politics in that sense. In that, it shows this utopian version of where things could go. And it feels like we've never been further. Certainly in my lifetime, we've never been further from The West Wing in terms of where we are politically in the world right now. So it's a comfort thing, but also it is kind of a constant reminder of how bad things are right now, which kind of sucks in that sense. But it's a great show. And if you've not watched The West Wing, well worth a watch. And also, if you've watched it before and considering watching it again, listen to the West Wing Weekly podcast. It's really, really good. It's a rewatch podcast that is incredibly insightful. We've got some really amazing guests on that. And there's an awful lot on there. But yeah, I think you'd enjoy it. Right, I think let's wrap this up. So, thank you so much for sticking with me. I'm feeling a bit, I'm glad I did this stream, but I can definitely feel that I am not quite back into the rhythm of this yet. So thank you for your patience while I talk gibberish at you for 45 minutes. I do appreciate it. And thank you so much for the ongoing support. It's been a tough time. It really has. But I am glad to be back. And I will try and get back into a bit of a routine on this. So I am in the office on Wednesday, so I can't do Geeky Lunch Chat with games on Wednesday. I will see if I can do it on either Tuesday or Thursday, though. I should be able to do it one of them. I just need to look at my diary for my day job and see which day is best for that. But it definitely won't be Wednesday, but I would like to play something this week. That would be really, really good. Kickstarter. Right. Going here again. Right. Please, 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 please. Please share the Kickstarter link with people you know. I am only one man. I can only do so much. And I'm fighting against algorithms. So my request to you out there, whether you're watching this live or watching the VOD of this, either just go on my socials and repost stuff that's on there, comment on it, or ideally, what would be really good, take that link and send it to someone by text, by WhatsApp, by email, by carrier pigeon, whatever is the best medium, to someone you know who is a geeky parent, a geeky teacher, a geeky librarian, someone who interacts with the worlds of kids, all vulnerable people. It's really good as well for people with special educational needs and the like. Share it with them directly, rather than going through social media, and say, look, this is a thing, that I think you might be interested in. Give it a follow, please. That would be really, really great. Okay, I think that's it. Oh, and otherwise, please just watch all the rest of my stuff on YouTube. I am slowly working my way towards partner, but it's tough. So have something on in the background. Listen to some of my old videos. You've got Short Thoughts, which is my bite-sized interview show, which has been on hiatus since I started doing all the Kickstarter stuff, but we will be coming back later on this year. I'm really excited about that. Right, if you have enjoyed this, please follow me on both Twitch and YouTube. I simultaneously stream on both. It's really, really appreciated. If you would like to follow me on socials, the main places are Blue Sky at dcbradshaw.com and Threads at dcbradshaw. I also have a coffee. It's down there. If you'd like to chuck me a couple of quid as a one-off or every month, just to help, support me in creative endeavours, that would be really, really appreciated. And that's about it, really. I think we're going to raid across. Let's see who is on. I think we might go over to Sir Hannah, I think. So let me set up a raid for those of us in the Twitch world. And we're going to go over to Sir Hannah. And if you're on YouTube, you just get the end screen. That's how it works, I'm afraid. Alrighty. We'll tee up this raid, and I will see you at some point later on this week. And to wrap this up in the appropriate way, I've been DC Bradshaw, and I am little but fierce. Take care, everyone. I'll see you all soon. Bye.